There's this intrinsic question woven into our human experience where all of us at some point wrestle with the idea, am I living up to my full potential? Am I here doing the things that God created me to do? Every so often you run into someone who really answer those questions, not just with words, but how they're living their life. And you are definitely one of those people. You describe yourself as a mother by day and a painter by night. And you've described your creative journey as waking up the artist. So today I want to explore that and who you are as an artist, but really answer that question, what is it like to wake up and to become the person that God intends you to be? So Beki, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Going off of that, you describe your journey, like I said, as waking up the artist. What does that mean?
We all have these things that we keep close to our hearts, and we see other people that we secretly want to do, and we see other people doing it, and we think to ourselves, I could do that. I could do that better than them. But it's so sacred to us, it's so personal that we're afraid to do it because it means so much to us. And being an artist was that secret desire in my heart. I always wanted to be an artist as a child. I wasn't innately good at it from the beginning. I wasn't one of those that, she's just naturally gifted.
The prodigy, yeah.
Not even close. I had to work really hard at it. But for me, I had 8 children to create first. That was my biggest and best and most important creation. And I did get to a point in my life where I thought, well, my friends who were artists, they had moved on and became amazing, famous artists, and I created a family, which is a beautiful thing, but there was always this little bit of brokenness inside of me that I wanted to share my heart and my feelings, and I didn't have the skills. So finding the bravery inside of myself to try to do that one off-limits, this will break my heart if I fail thing, it was definitely a journey and still continues to be a journey of growth and humility and endurance and all the above.
We all dream. I think that's just like who we are as children of God. Like, we know that we're destined to be something greater. We have this dream to be a creator. I think it's like woven into who we are. But I think it's so scary to take that leap of faith, like you said, because what if I do fail?
So finding peace is my way of saying that we are of divine inheritance. We have divine parents that have gifted us a part of them, and they are the creators. They are the ultimate creators. And so when we create, we feel the most at home. The home that we can't remember. And it doesn't have to be art. It's easy for me to say, well, creating is divine, but it could be creating experiences, creating a garden, creating environments. It could be creating anything. But when we create, it is this healing experience that goes through us, and therefore we feel at peace and at home.
I love that. I mean, I think of like some of the biggest, best experiences I have with like my parents, and it was my mom or dad created an experience for me to have. Mm-hmm. And I love that because that's really what God is doing, is he's giving us experiences that we can learn and grow from.
Right.
What would you say to someone who has hit that wall and just hasn't quite taken that leap of faith? Maybe they feel like it's too late to chase their dreams.
Oh, I definitely felt like it was too late. I think the best imagery I can give is, you know, those children that their parents don't allow them to have sugar? And then they walk into a house that there has a bunch of candy and they just devour all of the candy and that's all that they eat. For me, that's what art was. But I was the only one that kept myself from it. It was my fear inside of my heart, inside of my mind, that kept me from doing the one hidden secret thing that was in my heart. And so we're the ones that are keeping us caged, not anybody around us, not the naysayers, but we're the ones that create our own cages. And if we are just brave enough to take one step forward, there is an abundance of light and knowledge and hope that is poured into us as we do that.
I love that idea that you created the cage so you have the key to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just walk out, go chase your dreams, and be the person that God intended you to be. That's a beautiful concept. So why Christian art?
Honestly, in the beginning, I had no intention of doing Christian art. It's just what comes out of me. Even if I'm painting a sky painting, I can't hide the message that I have in my heart. I had this beautiful experience I had all sky paintings, and they're mostly storms. I grew up in Arizona, so monsoon seasons are just my favorite thing in the world. And where light and dark clash together, which I love the analogy of, because if you think about our own lives, when we have light and dark come together, in art, that's where the most color is, where light and dark come together. So if we have a life where there are dark and heavy things happening, that should give us this hope that as we stand in and put our light out there, something beautiful will come out of this dark experience. So I had this experience at this art show where I had these storm paintings, and they were sunsets, and at that point, I was very timid about sharing my message. I would just put my art up and go, "Do you like it?" And I wouldn't share the story behind it. And this man came walking by. There were a bunch of booths, and he came walking by, and he stopped, and he stared at my sky painting, and he was just in a trance. And I went up and I tried to do the talking to him, like, "Do you want to hear the story?" And he just shushed me. And he stared at the painting for a while, and he left. And I thought, okay, that was kind of weird. And he came back the following day, and he did the same thing. And then he got really emotional, and he said, "I hear what you're saying." Now, remember, he didn't allow me to speak. He didn't want to hear my story. But he said, "I have never been so moved by a message." And his wife was standing at the back of the booth, and I went and stood back with her, and she got super emotional, was crying. And she said, "Today's his birthday, and I've already bought him a great birthday gift. But he has been struggling spiritually for the last 3 years, and nothing has touched his heart. But your painting spoke to him." And it was, the whole series of that is Hope on the Horizon. And the painting, I believe, that he was most drawn to was Cleansing. And that was cleansing for him. That's one of the beautiful things about art, is that it's a universal language without words. The most shocking thing for me was to paint a painting that was even a little bit abstract, that is really just colors, mud smeared colored mud. There we go. Colored mud smeared on a canvas. And somehow the message is the same for everybody who looks at it.
Art can speak to the soul in ways that words never could.
Like heaven is speaking to us all. It's a universal language that we knew before we came here.
One of the coolest things that I've seen is there was a study done at a museum of the painting with the girl with the pearl earring. And they showed people the print and they showed people the original painting. And their brain, they had all these connectors wired up to their brain that could read, they could just read the electricity and stuff going on. And the original stimulated the brain 10 times more than a picture, a print of it. And I feel like that is evidence that artists put their soul inside of an original painting. Do you think that's true?
You know, I, as a beginner artist, didn't understand the power of originals. People would ask, do you have a hard time selling the original? And I'm like, no, I just get a really good scan of it and I frame it and I'm good. I have a copy of it. But I had this beautiful experience where I had painted a painting that is symbolic of Heavenly Mother and how her traits have been passed down through the generations. And it was of my daughter. And somebody purchased it anonymously. And I was like, oh, that's sad. I didn't get to know who that was. Well, 2 years later, that person gifted that painting back to me.
Wow.
And I had no idea how much of me was in that painting until it was given back to me. And I just wept. It was like I could feel the music that I listened to as I painted. I could feel my heart and my spirit come out of that painting. And it meant 1,000 times more to me, even though I had had the print before. The print means almost, it's like, that's nothing.
Yeah. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is and how valuable it is to be in the presence of original pieces of work. Like you could go to a gallery full of prints and it's just not the same as being in a gallery full of original paintings.
So my family went to the Met last year, and everybody loves Monet paintings. And I've seen Monet paintings, and they're pretty, they're nice. But when we walked into the Met, and there were, 6 or 8 of his paintings, I literally could feel his spirit. And I walked up and I looked at the painting and the technique, and I'm like, there's nothing really powerful or amazing about this painting. But his spirit comes out of his paintings in a way that many others did not. And I hope to meet him one day now, because I'm like, he must have been an amazing person.
Yeah. If you are a fan of art, get an original painting. If you are not a fan of art, get an original painting, and you will become a fan of art.
It becomes an addiction.
It is addicting. And you just brought in how many paintings today?
9.
9.
2 more tomorrow. So.
Okay, so you've got 11 total paintings. You're prepping for a show. Guys, you have to go check out Beki Tobiasson's work. It's online. There's just incredible works of art. And something that I love is you explore this concept of guardian. Walk me through what that means.
The message of heaven was the entire reason I wanted to become an artist. 8 years ago, when I started studying to become an artist, that message was not being told anywhere. And it is a message that is so close to my heart. I had really awful, horrible, miserable pregnancies. And I didn't sleep essentially for 9 months. And I struggled deciphering between reality and not. I would dream while I was awake. Basically, I was crazy. And one of the only things that got me through was doing family history. So as I would just stay up all night long and do family history and search census records, and the veil became very, very thin. If you're not eating and you're not sleeping and you're doing family history, it's really easy to develop a relationship with the people on the other side of the veil. But along that journey, there were really, really, really hard days. And I felt the presence of angels striving to pour their strength and their hope into me to just make it one more day, one more hour, one more minute. We're here for you. We love you. We are cheering for you. And knowing and feeling that they were there made all the difference in my life. My first attempt of sharing that message was with the painting called Blessings. And I had some really dark demons that I was dealing with. And I literally felt light being poured into me and darkness leaving me. And that painting was my very first attempt. My second one is Heaven is With You. And I feel like that more accurately portrays the message that I was hoping to portray, that they were there with me.
Yeah, that painting has touched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. To see every time it's put online or put in front of someone, there's always an emotional, visible response from them. Mm-hmm. It's just such a powerful piece. And it just like, there's so many questions like, who is this girl? Who are you trying to depict? Is the angel shielding? Is she comforting? Walk me through that painting.
You know, for me, I love to keep things vague on purpose. And I love to make the name very simple so that it can encompass anybody's experience, because their experience is what matters, not mine. Their experience of digging deep and finding strength that they didn't have is what counts. I like to keep things very broad so that it can relate to anybody's. So mine was difficulty with mental illness during pregnancy. For somebody else, it might be sorrow and grief. It might be depression. It could be anything. And I did that on purpose so that it can relate to your heart instead of just validating my experience.
What I think is so beautiful just about life is that there's, as you listed, there's tons of different difficulties that we can go through and that we do go through. But the solution is really simple. It's God is there and he sends angels to comfort us.
Absolutely. Perfectly said.
Has there been any specific paintings that you felt were heavily guided by the Spirit?
I had one experience. Well, I've had several experiences where I felt like heaven gifted me a painting. There have been plenty of paintings where I have struggled and struggled and struggled through. But every now and then, I will decide I'm going to paint this painting, and it's like heaven just gifts it to me. And probably the first time I truly experienced that was I had painted my first angel was disheveled guardian because, of course, my guardian angel is exhausted. And I had painted her, and it was my first painting that I felt like I had been let out of a cage. I maybe it was a sense of rebellion. I had been taught to paint very carefully and controlled and specifically, and that painting was I'm getting out of jail and I'm going to do whatever I want. And I scraped and I put globs of paint, and it just brought me so much joy. And it had sold right before another big art show, and I didn't want to go without an angel painting. So I thought, I have 2 days. I can paint a painting real quick. So I started painting another angel. And in the middle of it, I had left. My son had made dinner, and I went up to eat dinner, and I walked back in the room, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I just wept because the face that was on that canvas was one that I had seen 28 years previously. I was pregnant with my first child, and I had been woken up in the middle of the night, and there was this beautiful angelic figure that was smiling at me and left. And I thought, wow, that was cool. And I went back to sleep, and a couple of days later, I miscarried my first child. And I had never shared that experience. We always question ourselves. Was that real? Did I make that up? Was it just a dream? But in that moment, I felt like I had received an embrace from heaven, saying, we're with you on this journey. We're validating your experiences, and what you're doing is not only worth it, but we're behind you in this.
I feel like it's so easy to question, like, your experiences with God. It's so easy to go through this, like, life-changing miracle, and then the next day you're like, was that even happen? Is that even real?
We can explain it away, right?
Yeah, but what an amazing example of no matter what you go through, God is with you, and don't explain it away. It's real. God is real. Jesus is real. You've got this incredible painting that's along those lines, and it's titled Crown of Glory. Walk me through that.
Crown of Glory, I honestly don't feel like I painted. It seems like the paintings for me that are very quick and I'm able to paint in 1 or 2 sittings are always gifts from heaven. Like, really, I just get to be the hand that delivers a message from heaven. It's really not me. In fact, after I painted this painting, I thought, oh, I'm such an amazing artist. I'll paint another one real quick. And it was a flop. And then I'm like, okay, I'll try again. And that was a flop. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll humble myself and just be the hands that get to deliver this message. But Crown of Glory is a painting of our Savior in contemplation. And for me, it feels like he is contemplating. He knows what's coming, and he's trying to resolve his own feelings for what's to come. Do I have the strength to do this? Do I have the strength to go through this and be able to fulfill this event that has been waited for from the beginning of time. The most beautiful moment with that painting was when I was writing the words in Hebrew above his head. And I wept as I wrote his titles in Hebrew on his head, replacing his crown of thorns. I felt as if I was replacing his crown of thorns with a crown of glory. And the words are, Jesus, the Messiah, my Lord. And for me, it is a beautiful reminder that whatever difficulties we go through in life, they're worth it if we turn towards him.
I feel like a lot of your paintings speak to women and the beautiful relationship that they have with God and with angels beyond the veil. What advice do you feel like your work gives to the mom who's feeling overwhelmed with her day-to-day?
Maybe it's not advice, but just reminders of the beautiful moments, because it only takes 10 seconds of being curled up on a couch holding your baby and feeling the presence of heaven, validating that what you're doing is worth it, to make it through 10 days of not so fun things about being a mom.
Is that what your painting Little Lamb depicts?
Little Lamb for me is 100%. It is, you're exhausted. It's 3 a.m. You're up with this tiny little baby that won't sleep. You have 5 or 6 or 7 other kids that have ran you ragged all day long. And the baby finally falls asleep. And you watch those precious little faces that just arrived from heaven. And you have heaven, the light of heaven peeking down on you in this moment, validating your experience. In that painting, there's a pillow with leaves, and that represents Heavenly Mother and how she is wanting to soften both the role of the mother and the struggle of the child. That she's there to comfort and be with you through those moments. And she's your cheerleader. She's there saying, I promise these moments count, even if they feel like they don't.
I love hearing the stories behind art, because you see it and it's like, wow, that's beautiful. And then you learn what it's about and you can like feel it. And it just transforms your home, your phone, your computer, whatever you're looking at this piece of artwork through, because that's what art is for. It's to teach us things that words can't. It's to explore those difficult concepts like, wow, I'm a mom and it's 3 a.m. and I feel overwhelmed and I feel like I'm not doing enough. And then to look at something that's so hard to approach with words, but just to be like, you know what, it's okay. And what a blessing it is to be the only one in the whole neighborhood awake, to have the one lit up window because my lamp is on, and have this moment with my child. Like I could be asleep, but instead I'm having this bonding moment, and that's what art is all about. I love it.
It is. Art is healing in a way I never understood. I have teenage boys, and I'm definitely a redheaded mom. The redhead gene is it's everything that they say it is. And he would, if this one particular teenage boy recognized when I hadn't painted for a while. And he would say, "Hey, Mom, how about you go paint and I'll make dinner?" Now, what teenage boy is offering to make dinner for a family? But when I paint, it's as if all of my griefs and sorrows and anxiety and frustration are downloaded without having to figure them out, without having to speak about them, without any of the things that we sit and regurgitate our problems. It's like this sanctifying experience for me.
You've been prepping for a big show. You've completed a ton of new paintings. What concepts and pieces and things are you currently exploring in your new work?
I love hiding messages in very non-traditional or in very traditional paintings. For this show, I painted a painting, a landscape painting. But for me, it very much has a spiritual message to it. The name of the piece is Echo.
I love this painting, by the way.
Thank you. And typically in art, you never want the horizon in the middle. You want it higher or lower. But in this painting, it felt very important to put it very close to the middle. And because for me, it represents heaven and earth and their equal importance. So heaven sends beautiful messages or experiences or environments down to earth. And then not only do we get to experience them, but then our lives get to send beautiful messages to heaven. And they reflect off of each other and they echo through time.
When I first saw this piece, I was like, wow, I need this. Because I spent just over a year living in Brazil, and this time was, I feel like, so pivotal in discovering who I was and what I meant to God. It was this time where I really figured out who God was. I lived right on the Amazon River, and I'll never forget, as I was flying home, I looked out the window and I just saw the Amazon River glowing. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was this God's creation, and it just was glowing gold. And I immediately thought, wow, is this what heaven will look like? Well, is that what the streets of gold will be like, that we can, explore and walk and find God on? And then I just had this overwhelming feeling that God was happy with where I was at. That it didn't matter the 100,000 mistakes that I had made, that he was proud that I was trying to find him. And it was just that one moment that will echo through eternity for me, that was just like, this is the path that God wants me on. So thank you for painting that. It's just, seriously, is so beautiful.
But I know we've talked about this a lot, but isn't it beautiful that it's just a landscape painting with some reflective light? And yet, my message that I was hoping to share, you picked up and related it to your life, but it wasn't, you hadn't even spoken to me about this painting. You had no idea what my message was, but it came through. I truly believe art is one of heaven's ways of speaking to our hearts.
It really is. I feel that God uses creation to please his children and to give us the life that he wants us to have. Like you as a parent, me as a parent, we know, like, I would do anything for my child. And I know that that's his attitude towards us, that he would create anything if it meant putting a smile on your face. And if it means talking through angels and putting you through 15 years of misery so that you could create this piece of art to touch someone that's living, in their trials, that it's worth it to him. He would do anything for all of us. And I think that's what's so beautiful about what you're doing is you truly are becoming the hands that God needs here on earth to preach and to give the message to his children that they need. And whether you realize it or not, you're impacting hundreds of thousands of people by creating these works of art to touch our souls. So on behalf of Haven Light, we want to thank you for what you're doing.
What an honor. What an honor for me to have a place to share it. Thank you.
There was this thought that came to mind years and years ago, and I sat there and I was thinking, why would Jesus keep scars in his hands? He could have resurrected and created these perfect hands. He didn't need holes in them. And clear as I'm speaking to you today, God spoke to me and said, there's holes in my hands so that you on earth can fill them. And I truly believe that's what you're doing. That's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to make up that tiny sliver in Jesus' hand so that we can reach out and help the people that need it. So, Becky, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.